Imagine a time when all of humanity spoke the same language. There were no communication barriers. There were no different languages. Everyone could understand one another. But then something happened that changed the history of humanity forever. A massive project was launched, a structure so grand that its builders believed they would reach the heavens themselves. It was the Tower of Babel. But why did God decide to confuse the languages of mankind? Was it a punishment? Today, we will explore the biblical story of the Tower of Babel and the significance of this episode in Genesis. The story of the Tower of Babel takes place after the Great Flood. In Genesis, Noah and his family survived the destruction caused by humanity's corruption. God gave a new command: be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. Humanity began to grow once more. Noah's descendants spread across the region known as Mesopotamia. At that time, everyone spoke the same language. Then they found a plain in the land of Shinar. There they decided to build a great city, and in its center, a tower. The biblical text says, "Let us build a city and a tower that reaches up to the heavens." In those days, great structures symbolized power. The tower was not merely a building. It represented pride, a human attempt to create something that would demonstrate their own greatness. The people said, "Let us make a name for ourselves so that we will not be scattered across the earth." They wanted to stay together. They wanted to build a great civilization, but this went against a command given by God. From the very beginning, the purpose was for humanity to spread across the earth. The problem was not their capability, it was their hearts. They sought security, fame, and power apart from God's guidance. The tower became a symbol of human pride. The Genesis account states that God came down to see the city and the tower. Even when people attempt to build something magnificent, nothing is hidden from God's sight. Then God said, "If, as one people speaking the same language, they have begun to do this, nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them." This does not mean that God feared human power. Rather, it implies that humanity, united in a wrong direction, could advance ever further in its rebellion. Then something unexpected happened. God confused the people's language. People who had previously understood each other perfectly began speaking different languages. One group could no longer comprehend the other. Without communication, the great project came to a halt. Construction of the city ceased, and the people began to scatter across the earth. This event became known as Babel. The name is linked to the idea of confusion. But what is the message of this story? The Tower of Babel teaches that human pride can lead people to try to build a life without God. Humanity wanted to reach the heavens with its own hands, but the Bible shows that true closeness to God does not come through human achievements. In the New Testament, there is an event that many scholars view as a contrast to Babel. In Acts chapter 2, during Pentecost, people from different nations heard the disciples speaking and understood the message. At Babel, a language was divided and the peoples were scattered. At Pentecost, different peoples heard the same message. The Bible presents these two moments as significant stories regarding communication, humanity, and God's plan. The Tower of Babel is not merely a story about an ancient structure. It is a story about the human heart, about ambition and pride, and the pursuit of greatness without reliance on God. The tower rose close to the heavens, yet it failed to achieve what its builders desired. For true greatness lies not in building something so that all eyes turn to us, but in living according to God's purpose. Babel ended in confusion, yet the story of humanity continued in God's hands. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and God bless.